San Diego is one of the teams that people thought would be sellers at the market during the trade deadline. But I was one of those that believe and will always believe that they're going to be one of the teams that are going to try and hang on to these assets because it's the only game in town. Was there a feeling by maybe even the fan base, like if this team doesn't turn it around, or if they sold off one of these pieces, that maybe the fan base would feel like the organization could be giving up?
Well, look, I think it was the question we were all asking for a number of weeks, quite honestly. What would they do at the trade deadline? Would they consider moving a Blake Snell or a Josh Hader? And I do think it's something that, whether it was the front office or, a lot of fans, something they thought for a while there they should do because of the way the first half of the season was going. I do think the way this team played down the stretch before the trade deadline, sweeping the Rangers. I mean, we were really going game by game there as far as how people felt about what they should do at the trade deadline. I think they played well enough, and they were still in the mix enough in the postseason race in the wild card to convince this front office not to sell and not to move any pieces. So, look, there are the added elements to it. I mean, you'll see here tonight on national television, this place is packed every night. I mean, they're selling out the ballpark every night. This team has become incredibly popular in this city. It's the only team in town, obviously. It's an organization that spent a ton of money. They've invested. It's a beautiful ballpark. Weather's always great. I think it was difficult to imagine them while they really were still in the postseason race. It was difficult to imagine them punting on the rest of this season. And for me, I thought it was the right decision to keep those guys here and really go for it. I think there's enough invested in this team and with where they are. So I had no problem with what they did. I felt like they did what they should have done by adding some pieces to the fringes of the roster, adding some depth pieces. But look, it's proven even now as they continue to pick up ground. I think the right decision, and obviously a lot different than, let's say, what the Mets did, which were, they were in a very similar spot in ways, and those two teams obviously went in very different directions at the deadline.